Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY Security webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. So tonight's webinar is Forex Trading Live Market Analysis, which we'll get into in a moment. Tomorrow evening, I will be going through the webinar on 100 pip trade entry. So if you want to join me for that webinar, just register your interest at our webinar page. This evening, if everybody could read through the disclaimer, that would be great. Any questions to the chat box or the Q&A box? If you're on a YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat there, but you're more than welcome to watch, or I've given you the link there to join us for the webinar. So you can come in and talk to me that way, but I can't see the chat. So everybody just take time to read the disclaimer before we move along into the webinar. All right, let's move along. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities. And full-time trader, been trading the Forex market now for more than 20 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And throughout the week, you can connect with me at the website at acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or at AUDJPY Securities Australia on YouTube. And if you want to connect with me personally, my Linktree page is there. Get my links, you can contact me through there. And if you want to get access to the charts I'm using in MT4, just contact Nathan Bray's emails on screen there, nathan.bray@acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat for everybody. Just contact him. He'll only be too happy to set you up if you want to get my charts. All right, so first up, let's get into the news items for the day. Or I should say for the week. Right, so I'm at forexfactory.com and already had the flash services and manufacturing data coming out from various countries on Monday. So getting into Tuesday, these times are my time, Queensland time. Nothing much. So getting into Wednesday here. In the morning from the Aussie, we have CPI year on year. Expecting no real change. For the UK at 5 p.m, expecting maybe a fraction of a dip. Of course, these figures coming in differently will obviously affect the Aussie crosses and then the pound crosses as these new items come out. In the UK, we've got the annual budget release. Into Thursday, 10:30 p.m. for the US, we've got final GBPQQ, unemployment claims. Into Friday, for the pound, we've got retail sales month on month. And 10:30 p.m. Canada, GDP month on month, and US core PCE price index. That can definitely drive the market. Friday started there. So not a heavy week. What's left? Of course, Aussie and pound here could certainly get affected by CPI data releases. So let's be aware of the data coming out for the week. Let's get into the charts. Now, normally I would go through the dollar index. My dollar index in the platform isn't updating, but I do know, this is my weekly chart. Hopefully they'll get it fixed up. I do know though that the dollar index, this is the weekly chart, is having a movement back up this way. So for those of you with live data, this 105.38 level, if we keep moving up, I will be watching this area to be resistance potentially for another movement down this way. So we're seeing pairs to the US dollar going the opposite way. Of course, this isn't updating, but we are in a downtrend on the weekly. Big question is, will we come down to test the September low here over time? So how many weeks of a rally are we going to see? That's going to be the big question over the coming few weeks, okay? Is this going to be a minor rally or a much more sustained rally? But I will certainly be watching from a dominant level, 105.38. If we get up to that level, that could be where the sellers are watching to then take control for the next move, okay? I'll have a look at the pairs, see where that level comes in, maybe on the euro dollar, for sure. All right, so sorry I couldn't give you an update a good update on the dollar index today because my dollar's not coming in live at the moment. S&P 500. So if you go to the monthly chart, this is what I was showing last week. We've pulled back to the 62% level. All right. To me, this is just a correction because the monthly trend is up. We need to break this swing point low here to change the monthly trend to down. So this is just 1 month down. Weekly charts be getting back above this area of old support. Now, if we start to see 56.69 on any pullback becomes support, and even this week we haven't even traded down to 56.69 this week. So this is looking a little bit, to me, it's looking a bit suspicious that we will come up to challenge the high here because we've got support at 62% level. So on the day chart, we're already seeing higher bottom, higher top. So what I would start to watch for is I would keep dragging my fib up as price keeps moving up and watch to monitor the next pullback on the day chart. And if, let's say that is at the interim top at the moment, the 62% level overlaps with this weekly high over here to the left. So I would be watching for any pullback to the 56.69 area for support over the coming trading days, because getting support here at 62% level of the monthly range would be suspicious to me that that is now an interim low and we're coming up longer term to test the highs again. All right, so that's what I'll be looking for. Okay, euro dollar. So as I've been saying, we've been having, just need to tidy up that fib. All right, weekly chart. So definitely had a reversal on the weekly chart in terms of interim top. And the question will be, how deep does this become? I mean, this could be a final top because we've got this range. We've traded into the 62.79% zone. And we could be doing something like that over the coming months. At the moment, based on the weekly chart, we're in an uptrend. So I'm not getting that excited at the moment that this might be a final top. I need to see a bit more price action and see if we get any significant levels breaking down. Now we're trading up here, 107.87. So we're just getting underneath the 108 level at the moment. So what I would be watching over the coming few trading days, just going to move to the day chart. And get rid of my drawing tool is deciding it doesn't want to work. All right. Today, so the day chart, we're just changing the trend of the day chart. We've broken the last low. But one of the things I've been discussing this year from January is these imbalances. This one's always got filled. But for me, I'm feeling like maybe we need to come up and fill the final one up here. So whilst this has changed the day chart trend to down, all that's really doing is having 1 or 2 weeks pullback, okay, at the moment. So I'm just watching to see levels, 108. I just want to watch over the next couple of days. 108.22 here. This is a little level of support that we formed over recent times. Depending on your viewpoint, you can have a viewpoint of being short or long, but that I think is a line in the sand, depending on which way you want to trade. All right, so at the moment we're below 108.22. I would also be looking at the 10800 level as well. Like, are we starting to close back above 108 on a daily closing basis, even intraday trading basis? And can we get back above 108.22? That's for the buyers. Can we see strength back above 108? Can we get back above 108.22? For the sellers, well, you could be looking at 108 to 108.22 to be resistance. So it all depends on what side of the market you're anticipating the market to move over the coming week or two. So I'm still have a bullish bias. That could change. If I see more than a few attempts to try and get above 108 and we can't, then that would be suggestive at least that we're going to move down to 107. So you have to pick a side of the market that you're interested in. I'm still interested to the upside because I think we might be going to fill that last imbalance, but I can change my mind if I start to see a much negative look of the pairs versus the US dollar. So even today, now that we move below 108, we're not yet committing back above there. So really for the sellers, watching for your setup to get short at 108, because you can see this has moved up here at the moment and it's starting to withdraw a little bit. And any price action today hasn't got to the central pivot point. So intraday price action at the moment is a little bit negative. So it maybe favors to the downside if you've got that bias, certainly for an intraday trader. So I will be watching 108. Personally, as I've been saying, I'm just going to try and close my drawing tool down and reopen it. And then see whether it'll work. All right, it's working again. So at the moment, sellers want to look at 108 and then look for your setup to trade down. Buyers need to see price action today, intraday, come nicely above 108 to be support to move up, and then watch 108.22. Can we get above that level? All right. So 108 is the level to watch at the moment, be it a buyer or a seller. Euro yen, weekly chart, very range bound. I did say watch this area up here at the top last week, and you can see the negative candle that was created. So if we're going to remain range bound and we are failing up here, this negative weekly candle, you want to allow price, if it can, to come back up within that body of the weekly candle. So moving to a 4-hour chart, this is the range last week. If we've put in an interim top up here and we want to maybe move back down to the bottom of the range, I would look for price to come up to the 79% level to fail. Stop above the high. Trade down towards the bottom of the range. At least down to weekly support at 156.17 area. All right. So whether you're going to trade on first contact here or allow price to come up to the 79% level at 163.44 and then hold, and you can see a lower time frame setup. But we had a nasty weekly rejection there. Are we going to come up to hold to come down within that range? It's clearly in a range on the weekly chart, so I would trade that range. Okay, euro pound. This is where I was discussing getting short last week. Didn't quite get up to the 79% level. It was very close. So hopefully those liking to trade the euro pound, we're looking up at or close to the 84.30 level. It's putting a lower top to a lower bottom now. I think now what we need to do is monitor the weekly range of last week. So this is last week's candle here, is look to sell high up within last week's candle if we get a retracement back up there. So if you drop it down to the 4-hour chart, my charts, I have last week's high here, last week's low. It has had a week down, so I drag my fib down. And then what I like to do is look to 79% area for a weekly rally and look to sell high up within the range of last week. All right. Now price might not get up there, but what we've been having is down, rally, down. So now we want to see the next rally before we go down. So I'm not going to engage the short side here. At the bottom of a move down, I want to sell a rally. So I just have to wait to see if it will rally to an area that I like within that range, okay? All right. Pound dollar. Now, this is my 4-hour look at the moment. It's rather range bound here. Not just too dissimilar to what I was discussing on the euro dollar. Here's the weekly chart. Question is, are we, and we're at weekly resistance here. So the 130 level really, here 130.01. Question is this a final top to see price action go bearish? I get my drawing tool to work. Or are we going to come up? There's more imbalances on the day chart in here. So I've still got the same frame of mind as I do on the euro dollar that we may come up to fill the imbalance at the moment. So on the day chart, here's these imbalances I've been discussing since January. We've filled one of them here, but there's two high ones up here, which kind of correlates with the one that we're seeing on the euro dollar. So the big question is, are we having a very minor pullback on the weekly chart to go higher, or are we putting in a final top? And as a trader, you have to make a decision which way you want to trade, because you could be right trading both ways actually over the next week. We could go down for a while, then bottom out, and then go up. As long as you see your setup, you could trade either way. So a little bit consolidatory in here at the moment, and we could be getting support. So I don't know where I'm getting that line from this high over here. I know weekly high at 128.93. So around about 129, the figure is giving support here, in here. 4-hour chart, you can see it's rather consolidatory. There's a few lows in here. We've been consolidatory. I'll draw it in for you. Consolidation. A little bit of a pop-up. More consolidation. Try to go higher up here, and then it's coming back down into these. Try to get below this area of consolidation, but it's tried, but it's really getting support around about the 129 level. So if that's the only correction that we can have on the pound, it's only a 100 pip correction, very, very short. So I would suggest if we trade above the higher last week, this week, that's a very short pullback, and we're going up to fill those imbalances. So it's at 130.14. So if we trade above 130.14 this week, this is an interim weekly low now, and we're going much higher. So from an intraday perspective, let's have a look, see what's going on. We can't trade down to 129. See how we did yesterday? So Friday, we did. Yesterday, we just did. Late yesterday. Today, though, we can't. And I don't know if we'll get down to 129 or even 128.93, the weekly high that we've just managed to hold above. But this is the area where I would look. Whether or not we can revisit. We revisited there yesterday. Yesterday was a great time to get long down there, because that's support at the moment. Now, if we get a clear break below there, what you want to be looking for is 128.93 up to 129 to be resistance. But at the moment, that's clearly support. So for me, this is the buy zone to look for trades to the upside. If we get a clear break below there, then you may want to adjust your viewpoint this week to having a week down. And maybe we're trading down to at least 128 this week. All right, but at the moment, 129 is support. So any visit into that area, you want to look to see if price is going to hold to move back up. To challenge the 130 level, and are we going to be moving up towards, so there's the 130 level. Can we break 130.14, last week's high? If we do, I will be looking to see if price can search for these two imbalances up here. Up at 133.30-ish area up here, 133, almost 133.50, top of that imbalance. So that is the question. Is this a minor pause to move higher at the moment? Pound yen, we're having a month up. This is the monthly chart. We're having a month up from holding last month on monthly support. We are range bound in here. We may only come up to monthly resistance. You see on the weekly chart, we're range bound. Like I said on the euro yen last week, which got up to the top of resistance, if I was wanting to trade this maybe to the short side, I would be looking up here. So I'd have to be patient for price to get up there. At the moment, though, there is an area just to the left here, which you can see in the day chart. So I don't really like this area because it's in the middle of the range. But you see you're set up to get short up here. It's fair. It's a fair level to trade down from. So it's 194.746. All right, so the day chart is in an uptrend. It's just holding this weekly top here. So for me, just as a wanting to trade the best levels over the next couple of weeks, up here, 198.94 to 199.80, and down here for the buying at 188.07 to 186.75. It's a broad range. But you're going to get your best results when you know where support and resistance is within a broad range. These are the best areas to look at the moment. Now I've drawn those lines in. Hopefully you can see this is in the middle. And price can get a little bit dodgy in the middle of a range. But this is at a primary level of resistance 2 from the weekly chart. So let's see what we can see on a lower time frame. If we are going to hold at the 194.74 level, what I would like to see is to come up and reject. Went through the 4-hour inch technique last week. This is obviously dropped down. I'd like to see a 4-hour candle come up and reject that level. To confirm then that we're going to come down on the break of the candle. Okay, because if I wanted to trade that, we're in the middle of the range, so I want to see price action prove that it's holding there and it wants to turn over, rather than just trading there because it is in the middle of the range. All right, Aussie yen. Now we do have CPI coming out. I've been rather bullish Aussie yen from down here, this 79% area. This is the weekly look, but down in this area on the day chart, I discussed a little double bottom forming. That's driven price up, snap it in a higher bottom. So now we have a double bottom, higher top, higher bottom formation on the day chart, which is bullish. And the 79% level has, there's the 79% level. Look at all the candles. 2 candles here getting support, and that moved down through and false broke. Then we came back up and that held just in here. It's looking like this bottom coming in here is now moving away from the 79% level. CPI tomorrow could see this. This is a weekly low. See this level revisited at 93.58. That would be a good level to watch for the buy side, because clearly we wanted to get above that level yesterday. Lots of strength coming in at that level to push up yesterday. So any news volatility that gets maybe coming from CPI tomorrow, this could be a great buying area in this zone for price to come up to fill these imbalances to the left. That's what I'm thinking. So, you know, you can keep breaking it down. At the moment, drawing a fib on the 4-hour chart, like so. If we were to come down to 79% level, that tags into that weekly support level at 93.58 perfectly. So I will be watching for any dip down here this week. We've had a minor double bottom on the 4-hour chart, then we've moved up. So now we want to be waiting for the next pullback to look for longs. All right, so I will keep moving my fib up if price keeps moving up, and then looking for a pullback to the 79% area if that can come around. Aussie dollar, it's getting a little mixed on the weekly chart, first of all. We have a higher top, higher bottom. There's maybe a lower top coming in here, and then so we have a lower top, higher bottom. The big picture is this monthly low here. Are we false breaking it to maybe long-term move up to the top of the range? CPI comes in good tomorrow. That's going to be good for the Aussie dollar. And maybe even though we're a little bit mixed in the weekly chart, higher bottom, lower top may be forming. See to the left, this weekly low, we're not wanting to hold below there. So this week we false broke this low. Now we may be wanting to hold above this low. Daily, this could be a minor double bottom within a move up this way. Break above the high yesterday is really going to confirm that double bottom. So you could draw a fib like so. The double bottom, this double bottom here, target would be at 65.23 for our chart. Now, what I like to do with double bottoms is be in by the 79% level. And there's the 79% level at 62.86 because that maximizes your risk reward. So personally, what I can see, we can't trade it now because it's already happened, but it's a good lesson. That was a false break, this low creating the double bottom on the day chart. Then it comes up, then it pulls back to the 62% level. It creates a left shoulder inverse head, right shoulder pattern. So down here on a retest of that level, 62.70, was where you wanted to look for a reversal back up. Now, as I say, I like to be in by the 79% level. So if I wanted to get in, I would have to see price can come back down to 62.86, put my stop below the low. And then I'd be trying to target up to the 65.22 level, the double top, sorry, the double bottom price projection. Okay, that's how I look at that. Now, tomorrow with CPI data coming out, if this was to get a negative drop, say below 62.70, and then intraday started to move back above, then once more you're observing that support's coming in at that level. And then that would be a good level to try and structure a trade to the upside once more. All right. So it's a little bit, trend is a little bit iffy at the moment based on the weekly chart. It's waiting for data, CPI data. I think we've obviously got the budget as well coming out this evening, which I haven't really seen too much from that. But intraday, we're obviously a little bit bullish coming up. But that will be my level 62.86, getting at 79% level to put my stop below this low, or a pullback to support when the news comes out tomorrow at 62.70. New Zealand yen. So we have maybe a major double bottom down here. And on the weekly chart, you can see it here. Now, there's the 79% level of the fib range. We've already surpassed that. So get it. Because this is a very big range, not getting in by the 79% level doesn't really matter because the double bottom price projection, if that's what we're creating here, is all the way up. Is all the way up at 101.89. It's miles away. So there's plenty of room to get in. And then we've got a higher bottom, higher top. This dip down, just pull back to support here. This is where you should have been looking. So right now where it is, it's just against, this is a weekly low over here. So whilst my bias would be to the upside because it's high bottom, high top, high bottom, this is not where I want to buy because it's headlong into this area here. So I need, my bias is to the upside. I just need to see something that I like to trade. And as I said, I'm not interested in this level that we're trading into at the moment. I would need to see some more price action form. Just back to the day chart a moment. Certainly if we came back down to this area, 85.20, this buy zone. But right now it's at sell zone. If you're much more obviously negative, well, quite clearly this is a sell zone because it's weekly resistance, but the bias is to the upside at the moment, following support from major support. So I'd really need to see price action get above these two levels here, and this area here to be a support area. So to move up, and then that to be support to move up. So it's just an area that I don't like. If price was to come back down to this area, great, that supports. Expect bias to come in 85.20 if we revisit. All right. New Zealand dollar. So what I'm doing here on the day chart, I'm looking at this range. In fact, I'm using the bigger range. I'll be monitoring, but I could also use this range. 79% on that range. I've just had my fib across that range because it's a larger range that's been forming in this uptrend. Because I was wondering as to whether this was going to come down and break this low. Maybe false break that low, take the stops out underneath here, and that's at the 62% level. So that's a level to watch. 56.77 for support this week if we get down there. Currently, though, we haven't broken that area, and the day trend is still up, higher top. This is a pullback. There's a 79% level there, and this line is coming from that top over there. So it's in a support area here at the moment. Yesterday, we put in a bit of a spinning top doji, and it's almost got back down to 79% level again, but not quite today. And down the 50-minute chart, we're not quite getting down to the 57 level. Intraday structure at the moment is still potentially just maybe down. It's a little bit mixed, to be perfectly honest, in here, but with the upward bias, I would watch today for the buy side. We haven't been able to trade below yesterday's low yet. It is a 79% level down to the figure 5709 to 5700 for the buyers. Okay. I'm not interested in selling. That would be my area to watch for support. Dollar Canadian, which has got a little bit range bound, but I think the bias from the monthly chart is major reversal of these double tops. Even if the longer term trend is going to remain up from this consolidation breakout, price is probably, just technically, price is probably coming back to the area of the break. All right, breakout, pull back to the breakout. Weekly trend is trying to put in a lot with lower bottom, it's putting in a lower top. It's not able to get itself back below this low to the left at 142.61 at the moment. But structurally, it's changed to down on the weekly. And on the daily, it's much more consolidatory. Buyers are quite clearly getting support here. 142.61. That's your level for the buyers at the moment. Even though that does ride in the face of the weekly trend, which is down, it's quite clearly offering support at the moment until we get any data that makes the dollar Canadian want to break. And personally, if I was trading the dollar Canadian, I would look at that. Would be my buy area at the moment, but my sell area would still be up here. If I wanted to really pick the best level, it's up here. I know we're a mile away from there at the moment, but anything can happen during the week. I would hold. If I wanted to get short, I would hold up here. Hold to see if 145.00 to 145.13 could get revisited, and then look for your setup to short to trade back down. Now, of course, we've got Canadian tariffs, I believe, maybe coming in. But we've certainly got the US putting tariffs on Canada and US saying that Canada should become a state of the US, which is all this rhetoric and talk is over the last month is just causing the dollar Canadian to go into sideways uncertainty. So when you've got uncertainty, work out where major support and resistance is through that period and look to the outskirts to trade, because until we get a clarity, we're dealing with uncertainty, and that's why it's going sideways like it is. All right, dollar franc is having a bit of a rally back up here. And it's not able to take at the moment, and this is kind of equal lows, fractional lower low just here. And we could now just be dealing with consolidatory, and we could be dealing with this range. I don't necessarily like where price is sitting on this pair, because on my weekly chart, we're really sitting almost in the middle of this weekly triangle consolidation area. All right. Getting a little bit of support on the weekly chart ahead of this area here. So don't like it when it's sitting in the middle of a range or consolidation. And on the day chart here, it is at the 79% level of this kind of area of consolidation. So of this range, we are at 79% level. So if we're at the top of the range or close to, you could be looking up here for your setup to sell. This still structure on the 50-minute chart is up at the moment. So I would need to see at least on the 50-minute chart a break of this low to break the 50-minute trend, ideally a sweep of these lows, and then look for a rally back up to a 79% level, back up to that 79% level there, or of this range, or wherever that range gets formed, if that's what price does. First, I'd like to see all these lows swept, and then a rally up to the 79% level of whatever this range is at the moment. If that's how it worked, it would be up here somewhere. So I need to see the 50-minute trend break and then come back up to either one of those two 79% levels. So that would need to do something for me at the moment. So I'd say the bias is on the day chart just to the downside, only just to consolidatory. Dollar yen's been heading back up with the US dollar index getting a little bit of strength. Now, the weekly chart is down. This is the lower bottom to that bottom. That's a lot. That's final top, lower bottom is how much is this coming out? I think the major resistance level is these, the 22 and the 23 highs here, 22 and 23. 150, 190, 152 approximate area, okay? So there's a bit to go to get to that level. That would be a key level to watch though. What happens at 150, 190 to 152? We do have an uptrend here on the day at the moment, but that's going against the weekly trend that we've been seeing. And that was, this weekly movement down has been 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10 weeks down here. For our chart. So if we are moving up to test 150, 190, and you wanted to get long, you want to look for a dip on the 4-hour chart. Drag your fib up, look for a pullback to the 62.79% area. All right. My bias would be to the downside without weekly trend being down. So I don't tend to trade this way up when that weekly is quite clear down. I'll just be watching for some kind of topping out phase somewhere at a level that I can recognize. And 150, 190 would be a level that I can recognize. So, but of course, to get to there, price would need to move up. So if you wanted to trade up, look for a dip on the 4-hour chart. And gold. This is how I drew it last week, but that's all gone up further. This imbalance here hasn't been filled. So day chart continues to move up. This is maybe just a 2-day pullback. 4-hour chart, this looks like a higher bottom at a 79% pullback of that range here. All right. So personally, if I was wanting to engage today, whether it would offer me, I don't know, because the last 2 4-hour candles haven't quite got down there, but I would want to be looking down at the 79% level at 30.06. So, these downward lows here, what it looks like, this downward move here, and then this downward move here is 3,000 level, which is somewhere pretty much that low there. That's at 2999.42. 3,000 is looking like support. So any volatility this week to drive gold down, you would want to watch 3,000 because it's looking like now price wants to see that line. If I extend it over, it's pretty much where we stopped here. Once we moved above here, these areas become support. So any downward movement at the moment back to 3,000 is your level. All right. Whether or not you're aware of that, let's go to the 50-minute chart. But that would be the area that I would look at for sure. And you can see on the 50-minute chart, these lows here. See how we came down there. That would be the area to watch intraday. If we can get back down there. Price may not get back down. Maybe you've already missed the best area for the week. But through the week, if we revisit the 3,000 level, that's the level to watch for support at the moment. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you want to join me tomorrow, I will be going through tomorrow the 100 pip trade entry. So if you want to register your interest, there is the webinar link at the top. Just head over there, register your interest, and I look forward to seeing you at that webinar tomorrow if you have the time. Other than that, just make sure you know what's coming out from the news front. Aussie and UK CPI data coming out tomorrow, so be aware on those pairs. And have a good trading week. Thanks, everybody.